Okay, Freddie Flintoff versus Richard Dawson. Let's get into it. Hold on a second. Richard Dawson, who's he? Try to look across the internet to find out who Richard Dawson is. As you do, you go through BoxRec, you try and look for photographs of the guy, and not be funny, the Richard Dawson I've seen is a game show host of a guy who's about 70 years old, a white guy who's 70 years old, an elderly guy, so surely that's not Richard Dawson. I've seen no pictures of Richard Dawson so far, but bearing in mind I'm in the Caribbean, but I have done searching, I see nothing about Richard Dawson. So I had to start getting some people to snoop about for me to find out more information on this guy. Yeah, I know he had 2 fights, and he's won 2 fights, and he's American. But what the insiders tell me, and it's probably no rocket science, that Richard Dawson's being paid to fall over. Well, that's what it is. They've searched, McGuigan and co have searched high and wide to find a guy who's going to fall over for Freddie Flintoff. So I've been told. Now, there are some interesting thoughts about this upcoming bout between Freddie Flintoff and Richard Dawson. Is the fight a foregone conclusion? Is Freddie just going to throw a punch and Richard Dawson just fall over? Is it as simple as that? We all know that Freddie Flintoff had a career as a ex-England captain, cricket captain, and a very successful all-rounder, a superstar in the sport. But now he enters boxing because he likes it or has a love for it, watching his mates and being inspired by Sugar Ray Leonard now, and Mike Tyson's come along and spoken to him. But this is for me, I see this fight no differently than taking your first amateur bout. Although he's turned pro, he says that Barry McGuigan took him in the gym and they had a meeting, and basically he wanted to know if Freddie could take a punch. So what happened? Flintoff went into the gym and had a sparring session, and somebody hit Flintoff on the chin, and Barry said, yeah, you can take a shot now. I don't know how that worked out, but I guess everyone should go and apply for a boxing license who's never boxed before, go in the gym, do a sparring session, take a shot, and then become a professional fighter. Now, for me, it's down to money and power, how Flintoff's been able to turn pro. Nothing to do with his boxing skill whatsoever, and I don't think anyone in the boxing community believes that. Flintoff wasn't the name that he was in cricket, and he wasn't the superstar that he was in cricket, and he didn't have the affection that he did and the money that he did. There is no way he'd just pick up a professional license and start boxing. I mean, I don't know if anyone's seen, and this is not a knock on Freddie, I think Freddie's a likeable guy, a nice guy, great personality, and great at what he's done in cricket. Fine, we're talking boxing now, and it's a totally different game, and it's a brutal sport. I've boxed before, so I have some experience with it, and I got up to almost turning pro with it. But there's a difference between hitting a ball or bowling a ball at somebody and somebody raining blows down at you. It's different. And if you get tired in the ring, you can't just pass the ball over to somebody else. If you get tired in the ring, it's you and that bloke, and he keeps pounding you, is trouble. Of course, that could happen with anybody. You don't have to be a professional boxer to understand that. But Freddie's jumping straight into the professional ranks, and a lot of the problem people are having, and boxing fans are having, is that this guy has turned pro without even having a single amateur fight, and on top of it, he's you're topping the bill on a professional card with guys who are professional fighters and have achieved probably more than him as an amateur and in the pros than he could ever dream of doing. Now, to be fair, Freddie hasn't turned around and said, well, I want to fight David Price in my next fight, I want to fight Vladimir Klitschko in my next fight. And I don't think it's fair to even suggest that he would be on that level. But Freddie is an ambitious guy, okay, and he obviously feels that he can do something in the sport. Otherwise, why would you get yourself into the shape that he's got into? And may I add, better shape now than he ever was in his cricketing career, even in his prime, to now get in a ring and box. There's certain things in boxing that you learn over time through experience. When you get caught with a punch, to hold, to turn a guy, you know, when to throw a jab, when to throw the right hand, how to double up the jab, how to feint. Now these things, you could do all the pad work in the world. Let me tell you something, you can do all the pad work, if you haven't boxed before, you can do all the pad work in the world. The only time you find out what you're really made of is when you get hit on the chin and something hits you in your chin or your nose, you feel pain, or you get upset and you get mad. That's when you find out what you're at as a fighter, or somebody's throwing punches at you and you have to get against the ropes and you have to cover up or spin and turn. That's when you find out, or you get hit with a good shot. That's when you find out what you've learned or what you can do. I suspect, I don't care how much sparring Freddie's done in the gym, I suspect when somebody's out there and actually hits him on the chin clean and hurts him, that's where we're going to find out where Freddie Flintoff's out. And again, I'm not being critical of Freddie, he's a nice guy, but I have to be honest, from what I've seen of Freddie, you know, he looks uncoordinated, and just looks, he looks very clumsy at the moment. He doesn't look the most coordinated. Yes, he has a big right hand, but a guy that size, 6'5", you know, you'd expect him to have some pop. So, you know, are the fans, the other boxing fans, and the boxing community a bit harsh on Freddie? Well, look, you can have a go at cricket, you can have a go at football, you can even have a go at basketball. You don't have a go at boxing, or you don't have a go at professional boxing. It's not a have a go. You know, this is serious business, and you know, there are some things that I'm concerned about. If Freddie goes out there now and this Richard Dawson doesn't go according to script and he lays Freddie out flat, and God forbid something happens to Freddie, are the British Boxing Board of Control prepared to take that upon themselves? You know, I mean, what happens? What would happen if God forbid something like that happened? Maybe not in the Richard Dawson fight, but you know, and what happens after that fight? So okay, he wins against Richard Dawson. You know, he's never going to be, as far as I'm concerned, technically good enough. I mean, he may have quite ambitions of trying to get to the British title. Really? What do you guys think? Those are things that concern me. And if Freddie Flintoff does it and is allowed to do it, has money, what's stopping other people jumping from their sport into boxing? Now, Curtis Woodhouse did it, but you know, I think he did it a little differently. And I think, you know, people are, you know, Curtis Woodhouse isn't top of the bill in his first bout and all this business, you know, and Curtis Woodhouse has done well for himself, to be fair. You know, he had a good fight against with Frankie Gavin, so he's holding his own. He had some boxing skills, some boxing talent there. I don't know about, you know, I'm not sure about Freddie. 34 years old with knee injuries in the past. You know, I want to wish him all the best, which I do, but I think the boxing fans and boxing community just want to see a guy do well for himself, and there are a lot of guys out there that want to see Freddie get hurt. They want to see him get knocked out and out of the sport as quick as possible. And I guess they're just being protective of the sport, which is fine. But you know, at the end of the day, what do you guys think? Do you really think it's really think that this hate for Freddie Flintoff is fair? What about the British Boxing Board of Control and their stance, allowing a guy who's a former cricketer, who's had no amateur background, to turn and just basically turn pro just like that? Is it money? And Barry McGuigan, he knows that Flintoff is not technically sound, and he's guiding his career. What do they hope to achieve with it? Or was it one of these situations where McGuigan said, "Look, I know you may want to become British champion, but let's not talk about that now. Let's see how the first 4 or 5 fights go, and take it, and then we'll see what happens." You know, because as I said, Freddie Flintoff is an ambitious guy. He was an ambitious guy, an ambitious sportsman. You don't die because you change sports. You don't suddenly stop being ambitious. So, make no mistake, Freddie Flintoff has got ambitions to do more in this sport than just have one bout. I don't believe he just wants to have one bout. I'm not of believe that. However, if he got knocked Spark out, then, which I don't think Richard Dawson do, and believe me, they have searched, from insiders told me, very close to the Flintoff situation. I can't reveal the name, but they have said that they are not happy with what's going on, and it's only because Flintoff has got a name, and they've searched high and wide to find this one guy. You know, I don't think anybody in Britain, any British boxer really wants to be exposed or embarrassed by a former cricketer, to be honest. No one wants to be part of that circus, and if they are part of that circus, they want to knock Flintoff out and make a name for themselves. So, anyway, I think I've talked enough about it. Don't forget to rate, subscribe, leave your comments. Flintoff versus Dawson. It's not long to go, November the 30th. Let's just wait and see, shall we?